In this video, we take a hard look at what really happened behind the scenes with Marcus at Daystar, and the role Anna and her husband played in it all. You know, sometimes telling the truth isn't just about sharing what happened, it's about whether someone had the courage to do the right thing when it really mattered. It's easy to give advice from a distance, but when it's time to step up and act, that's when true character shows. That brings us to Anna and her husband. They were right there at the beginning of a very serious situation involving Marcus at Daystar. They were among the first people told about what was going on, and at first they sounded strong. They said Marcus should step down. But here's the thing. When it came time to actually confront him and do something about it, they didn't. They backed away. They stayed silent. Years later, instead of standing for the truth, they stood beside Marcus and Joni, going on what many have called an apology tour. They even appeared on national TV, like on Doctor. Phil acting like everything was fine. But the question is, what really happened? Why was this kept secret for 3 whole years? And did Marcus ever actually step down, like people claimed?
Anna, knowing her history, that she and her husband were the ones you went to first. And you asked them to do something. They said Marcus should step down from Daystar. And then they're too chicken to go and actually confront Marcus with it. I mean, this tells you who these people really are. And then in 2010, so 3 years later, when this finally comes out, this couple that didn't have the guts to do anything at the time and spoke so boldly about he should step down, now they go on the apology tour with Marcus and Joni, and they're on Dr. Phil. It was actually Fred Kendall's. It was his suggestion that Marcus shouldn't go forward, shouldn't tell anybody about it, because if he did, then, they wouldn't be able to heal. And that was their excuse for why this was buried for 3 years. And there's no talk about him stepping down. In fact, he said he stepped down from preaching, but you're saying that didn't even happen either.
Correct. Both he and Anna told us that. And they were marriage counselors. They were counselors within Daystar. So we felt comfortable telling them. And
wait a minute. Let's break it down. What really happened? Anna and her husband knew what was going on from the very beginning. They weren't just bystanders, they were involved early. When they were asked for advice, they said Marcus should step down from his leadership role at Daystar. That sounds like the right call, right? But when it came to actually talking to Marcus face to face and confronting him about it, they didn't do it. They didn't follow through. They didn't want to get involved at that level. In the end, they didn't have the courage to stand by what they said. Now, jump ahead to 2010, 3 years later. That's when the truth finally started to come out publicly. And guess what? Anna and her husband, the same ones who stayed quiet before, were now showing up alongside Marcus and Joni, acting like they were all on the same team. They appeared on talk shows like Doctor. Phil, not to call out what was wrong, but to smooth things over. Even more shocking, it was actually Fred Kendall's idea to keep everything quiet from the beginning. He advised Marcus not to tell anyone what happened. His reason? He said that talking about it would slow down the healing process. That became the excuse they used to keep everything buried for 3 years. And remember how Marcus was supposed to have stepped down? Well, even that doesn't seem to be true. They said he stopped preaching, but people close to the situation said that wasn't the case. So when you look at the whole story, here's what it really looks like. People talked tough when no one was watching, but when it came time to act, they stayed silent. Then, when the truth came out, they tried to control the narrative instead of standing for what was right.
they were marriage counselors. They were counselors within Daystar. So we felt comfortable telling them and possibly getting their help to, give us wisdom on how to disclose this, or to even, to let Marcus and Joni know. And they did. They had a strong stance, but they backed off very quickly. I don't believe they ever confronted him.
According to the lady, that's right, both he and Nana told us that directly. You have to understand they weren't just random people. They were marriage counselors officially working with Daystar. So naturally we trusted them. We felt safe going to them. We thought, okay, maybe they can give us some guidance, some wisdom on how to handle this the right way. Whether that meant helping us figure out how to tell Marcus and Joni what was going on, or even standing with us as we brought the truth forward, we thought they'd help. At first, they did seem like they were going to stand strong. They gave a clear opinion, and it sounded like they were serious about it. But that didn't last long. Very quickly, they backed down. From what we saw, they never actually confronted Marcus, not once. They had the position, they had the influence, and they had the chance to do something, but they didn't. And that really says a lot.
I was recently contacted by a former member of Faith Life Church, and I spoke about all kinds of things with this individual. I'm going to refer to them as just they, just so that the identity is not disclosed. This individual said that the church has lost 80% of the church, of actual people that go to the church, and that it is remarkable when they are driving by and the amount of cars there is greatly diminished for services. They shared that because he's having, the ability to do as they want. With the children's ministry, there are protocols, just like everywhere else, that are in place for the safety of the children to not go back where the children are. However, that was an example of Tom being able to do whatever he wanted whenever and not having to follow the protocols that the church had in place.
At the end of the day, this whole situation shows us something important. Not just about what happened, but about the people involved. It's one thing to say the right thing when the pressure is low, but when the moment comes to actually do the right thing, not everyone shows up. Anna and her husband had the chance to stand for truth early on, but they didn't. Instead, they stayed quiet, and then years later tried to clean it all up like it was no big deal. The decision to hide the truth for 3 years wasn't just about protecting Marcus, it was about protecting reputations. And sadly, that's what often happens when people care more about appearances than accountability. Let this be a reminder. Character isn't just shown in what we say, it's proven in what we do, especially when it's uncomfortable. Real healing can't happen when the truth is buried, and real leadership means standing up when it's hard, not just when it's safe. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more honest breakdowns and bold conversations. God bless you.